What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another War Within video. Hope you're all doing very, very well. I did a Holy Paladin dungeon. I did a heroic dungeon on the new like max level realm that they've got going here with the tier set bonus. Tier set bonus doesn't matter as much. It just increases Holy Shock healing, and then Holy Shock increases the healing of Word of Glory. Okay, so that's all that really happened. What I really want to talk about is just, I don't know, honestly, I gotta give my hat off to Blizzard for some of the stuff that they've put into not only Holy Paladin, but some, like, all the healers actually, but I'll get to those in a different video. There's stuff that you don't really understand about new features in the game until you really go try them out in a dungeon. Like, you just don't really understand, I think, in my mind, how this is gonna work, what it's gonna feel like, what's this all like. I ran this build just for fun to see what was going on. I completely dropped Tears Deliverance. Holy Paladin has like way too many cooldowns, and they don't all really do a whole lot. And I feel like Blizzard has finally given us a cooldown that does a whole lot. And I'm talking about Avenging Crusader. I think this thing is finally like at the point where it's worth taking almost all the time. And I truly hope it doesn't get nerfed. Blizzard, please don't nerf us, because it's actually really fun. But there's cooldowns that Holy Paladin has. When you press them, they don't feel like they do anything, okay? Divine Toll often doesn't feel like it really does anything unless you have like a beacon of virtue on everybody. Then it kind of feels like it does something. The only cooldown that really feels super impactful to me is Daybreak, and it gets even better, Daybreak, because of Second Sunrise. I didn't realize how often this thing was going to trigger, but holy crap, this thing triggered a lot. Light of Dawn and Holy Shock have a chance to trigger a second time. This was happening like all the time, and that triggers additional glimmers, right? Triggering additional Holy Shocks is super significant, so we'll get to that in the video. But this is the only real cooldown that I've ever felt has been incredibly impactful. Tears Deliverance, I think, is good, but it's good over like a long stretch of time. And I'm talking about like really needing like hardcore amounts of healing in a short period of time. That doesn't always come through for Holy Paladin unless you have Daybreak. And I think now, with the addition of Avenging Crusader being so good and really being tied really well to Herald of the Sun or Lightsmith, you can do either one of the hero talent trees with this. The fact that they gave a Crusader Strike an additional charge, and then Crusader Strike does a bunch of extra healing. You can take Holy Infusion to make your Crusader Strike do even more damage and generate more holy power. It just really meshes well together, and it feels like we have a cooldown that I can rely on. When I press Avenging Crusader, I know everybody is good to go. And that's how it felt in this dungeon. And we're going to look at this here. Okay, let me back up a little bit. So we started this dungeon and they had already gone partway through it. Sorry, I was way too far. They had already done partway through this. This is Priory of the Sacred Flame. This is heroic, okay? And we're already partway through the dungeon because somebody like went offline. We're gonna kick him in a minute. Don't worry about it. But it just, I'm telling you, like, it just feels really, really good. I was also running Barrier of Faith as my activator for my Dawn Lights. You can either take Holy Prism or Barrier. I went with the defensive option with Barrier. Barrier of Faith is like you put a barrier on somebody and then it'll start accumulating your effective healing from Holy Shock and Flash of Light and Holy Light, and then it will keep putting barriers on that person depending on how much it accumulates. So it actually ends up being a really significant amount of healing in the long run, and it's quite strong. So I ran Barrier. That was my main activator. Every 30 seconds, I can activate that to get my Dawn Lights going. And then I have a 1 minute Wings. And that 1 minute Wings, which is Avenging Crusader, is going to activate 4 Dawn Lights for me, which puts even more healing out, puts even more damage out. And then if I get a proc on Awakening, which I will plenty of times because I use so many spenders, that Awakening procs my Avenging Crusader and also puts Dawn Lights out. So it's really, really enjoyable. And I was just incredibly shocked at how much healing I was doing. Like, I was often from like 350,000 to like 600k HPS. I'm not kidding. We had a couple moments where we did like 600k HPS in here. You're gonna see that. So here's my Dawn Lights. They're out right now. This is my proc on Awakening. It's a very short, you get a very short amount of time with Avenging Crusader when you proc Awakening. For your regular Wings, it lasts quite a bit longer, like 10-12 seconds. For Avenging Crusader, it only lasts about 6 seconds because it's such a powerful cooldown. But the idea here is that when you pop Avenging Crusader, you want to press Crusader Strike and Shield of the Righteous almost exclusively. Okay, that is why I felt like it was an okay idea. Look at my healing, by the way. 460k HPS. Like, I think this is just where we're going. These are the numbers you're going to start seeing. It's pretty cool. When you pop Avenging Crusader, you need to be pressing Crusader Strike and Shield of the Righteous. Shield of the Righteous will get you your Crusader Strike back, and you get 2 charges of Crusader Strike. So it's like Judgment, Crusader Strike, Shield of the Righteous, Crusader Strike, Shield of the Righteous, and you keep doing that. Okay. This means you do not have time. You effectively do not have time to press other buttons like a Tears Deliverance or even a Divine Toll sometimes. Like, I was just really strapped on my GCDs, and I'm not saying you couldn't set up a Tears Deliverance ahead of time. You can, okay? I'm not saying Tears Deliverance is a bad cooldown. I'm just trying to see how this kind of works. Like, if this is something that you could potentially run, if you could have a more offensive build where you're focusing almost entirely on those Crusader Strikes and Judgments, and then Hammer of Wraths, healing through Veneration, which I also had in this dungeon. I also had the Light of the Martyr talents, which if you don't know, I'll just show you really, really quickly. The new Light of the Martyrs are passive. You don't activate this, so it just increases your Holy Shock healing when you're above a certain amount of health. It also puts a little healing absorb on you whenever you Holy Shock somebody, so it's a little bit temperamental, but I think it's actually potentially good. But my idea here was to, like, how much can we prune on how many of these kind of useless cooldowns or cooldowns that are just going to overlap and like 50% overheal? How many of those can we prune? How many of them can we get rid of so that we can just focus really hard on the cooldowns that are gonna really make a difference for me and make me do a lot of healing? And when I press those cooldowns, I feel like everybody's good to go. Like, that's what I really want. I want to press Wings, and I want to know that everybody's going to be fine. And if I press Daybreak, I want to know everybody's going to be fine. And they will be when you have that. When I press Divine Toll, it's kind of like, eh. But it sets up your Holy Shocks to do more healing, so it's actually quite good. And again, with Second Sunrise, where your Holy Shocks have a chance to cast again, you can cast Divine Toll, and then you can also have the Divine Toll talent that casts a Holy Shock for free every 5 seconds afterwards. So it's like, you have free Holy Shocks going out. They have a very high chance of casting again, which is going to proc your Glimmers again. So that Second Sunrise talent as a part of this hero talent tree is completely crazy in my mind. Here's a moment where I've got to do a lot of big healing. Okay. And I just procced Wings. I'm going to heal with my Crusader Strikes. We're up to 500k. Like, it heals for so much, man. Look at the green on the screen. 616k. That's from a Crusader Strike. It's just like insane how much healing this cooldown is doing. The priest is still dying. I triple Holy Shock him. Triple Holy Shock him again. It Holy Shock somebody else. I think that was a Second Sunrise proc. It's hard to tell sometimes with these things. And then I still have Veneration with my Hammer of Wrath to heal people. I'm doing 660k HPS right now. All right. Yeah, my DPS is not that great, but screw it, man. I don't care. I'm keeping everybody alive. That was a really difficult situation, and I kept everybody alive. That's really cool. That's the kind of stuff that I'm looking at, right? We have to skip this boss for now and go to the other side. Clear this trash. Like, I think that the amount of healing that you're going to be able to get with a, like, a Daybreak plus Avenging Crusader as your those are your 2 major cooldowns. It feels like it's a lot. It feels like I'm doing a lot of healing right now. There's my proc on my Awakening proc. You can see it lasts for about 6 seconds. So I'm just pressing Crusader Strike, Shield of the Righteous. Crusader Strike, Shield of the Righteous. Crusader Strike, Shield of the Righteous, because Shield of the Righteous gives me Crusader Strike back. And I'm doing 470k HPS. Okay? I'm really not pressing very many other buttons. I have that short little window where I procced, and I'm just doing crazy amounts of healing with Avenging Crusader. And I don't know what they're going to do. This is obviously just a heroic dungeon, but I do want to stress again, this is like a Mythic 0, right? Remember that Blizzard made the changes in the current game where the heroic dungeons are like Mythic 0s. That's what it's like. So this is not, we're coming in here with like a little bit under geared for this. You wouldn't do Mythic 0s on like day 1, right? Of the game expansion going live. So just think of it that way. This is a mini boss. This mini boss doesn't really do anything. I'm assuming on higher key levels she will do something, but for now she doesn't really do anything. Let's get to the boss fight. This boss fight's pretty tough. Captain Dalicry. This boss fight gets pretty wild actually, but again, I have my cooldown, so I'm ready to go. I have Daybreak and Avenging Crusader. I'm feeling fine. Okay, the ground starts getting covered with all this fire. It's getting pretty dangerous in here, and then he does a pierce armor on the tank, which starts to stack up, does a lot of damage on the tank. So I put my barrier of faith on the tank. Remember how this kind of works all together, okay? I put a big shield on the tank. It gets consumed. Then I holy shock, and I'm never flash of lighting. Sometimes I holy light, but I'm holy shocking everybody else. It accumulates all that holy, or part of the holy shock, and then it gives my tank another big shield. So it's really cool. You kind of get this like funnel thing going on as a healer, which is very rare, right? We usually have funneling as a damage dealer, but not as a healer. So then the tank's taking damage. I'm like, you know what? It's time to go in. I'm pressing wings. He's taking a lot of damage. I'm going to start healing him up. So I pop wings, Crusader Strike, Shield of the Righteous, Crusader Strike, Shield of the Righteous, Judgment. That heals him as well. Crusader Strike. My healing just like goes way up, right? Way up. I'm almost at 400k already. And I'm healing everybody. Some of that's going into my beacons, which is really good. I have a beacon on myself and a beacon on the tank. I'm doing Beacon of Faith. There's Avenging, or Divine Toll. Now this Hurl Spear, I think he throws this at me, and it does crazy damage. Yeah, I don't think that was supposed to hit me, right? Did I mess up? I don't know. I don't think it was supposed to hit. Anyway, now I'm in panic mode. I'm like, oh my God, I'm dead. I give myself the shield. I hit Daybreak. There we go. Now I have a cooldown that feels like it matters, right? Daybreak, again, I can do triple holy shock into a word of glory, which is actually an eternal flame now. Triple holy shock into an eternal flame. With this hero talent build as well, with sort of the avatar of the sun, then you're getting Herald of the Sun. You're getting the healing over time, right? From all these eternal flames as well. Also, whenever your holy shocks critically heal somebody or critically DPS someone, it puts a heal on them or a dot. So again, you're getting a lot of healing over time, which helps short things up. Now, the tank does die here. I almost had him with Avenging Wrath, but he ends up dying. I think he was just standing in like 16 consecrations right there. So I'm going to say that's not on me, but I probably could have done something else to keep him alive there. But he ends up dying. He comes back. It's all good. We're clearing more trash here. I just love this kind of cadence of having two cooldowns that are very strong that I can rely on in Avenging Crusader and Daybreak. And then in the middle, I can fill with Veneration. I can fill with Divine Toll. I have the healing over time going on. If I get an Awakening proc, that's kind of like a filler cooldown, like a mini cooldown, right? There's all the consecrations once again. I'm up to 560k HPS again. So I just think that it's just really good. Like, you have this healing over time going on all the time with your holy shocks putting hots on allies, your eternal flames putting hots on allies, your beacons are getting some of that healing, you know, Divine Toll, Veneration healing. I could even use Hand of Divinity. I'm not even using Hand of Divinity. I might just drop Hand of Divinity, I don't know, and put it into something else. I don't even know what I could put it into, but that's probably a good cooldown to keep. I do use it a couple of times. I'm using it right now, but I just think like you have all this passive healing kind of going on, and then when you really need to buckle down, you've got Daybreak and AC, which I think is just really strong. Here's a tough situation once again, looking to keep everybody alive here, and we're just working our way through it. I did use Daybreak right here. Daybreak's massive. You can hear the holy shocks just going off. Like when they go off, they just keep going off, man. That second sunrise just keeps proccing. So that was, again, 450k HPS without using Avenging Crusader there. That was mostly just my regular sort of holy shock healing, sort of a regular kind of healing that you would do. Here's the second boss, Baron Braunpyke. This guy's really cool. He throws a whole bunch of like Prot Paladin Avengers shields. This is the Avengers shield guy. He's just constantly whipping these hammers around, and they're just spinning all over the place. I guess they're not shields, they're hammers. They do a crazy amount of damage. Okay, on like Tyrannical, this would just melt you. And we were standing in this. I should not have been standing in this. I think I just bubble myself here because I needed to deal with everybody, so I didn't have time to get out of the circle. So I bubble myself and I just start healing. There's a big heal there. And then now I'm inside my cooldown right now. I've got AC running. So again, we're doing 580k HPS. Just try to do Crusader Strike, Shield of the Righteous, Crusader Strike, right? Get as many as I can. Refresh my Barrier of Faith. Then I just did a Divine Toll. All those Divine Toll Holy Shocks are going to be going into the barrier. Then he does this shield. And I think we die here. I think we all die right here. Look at this. Here comes all the hammers. Watch our health. Ding, 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 ding. I was like, oh my God, what do I even do? If I didn't die right here, I could have maybe recovered. It was a little bit too much. But that was hilarious. It's just way too much, right? We shouldn't have. Anyway, we fight him again. He doesn't end up doing the cooldown again. I don't know why, but the point is we kill him. That's a cool boss. I like all the bosses in here. They're actually great. There's a lot of like light and flame and like consecration going on the ground. And I have to refresh my beacons. We get the tank up and we push on to the final area, okay? The final part of the dungeon. Again, lots of consecration stuff on the ground you're gonna have to be worried about, but I'm doing 600k HPS again. 585k HPS, like it's crazy. Here's the last door, very big, and then all the trash is here. Now, we didn't quite realize this, but there's basically a whole bunch of trash, and then there's mini bosses in the middle here. You must clear all of this trash, or else they're gonna join the final boss fight, and they're gonna ruin your life, okay? So, again, lots of consecrations on the ground. You gotta watch your spacing when you're in here. It's a lot of damage that's coming out, and if you aren't careful, you will end up pulling way more than you wanted to. So, for example, we pull this pack here. When we're partway through this pack, I think we also pull this pack by accident. So on 4 to 5 weeks in particular, I think you're gonna have to be super careful. The tank gets this debuff put on him. It's like a Crusader Strike debuff, does holy damage over time, I think. There we go. We're pulling the extra pack by accident. I don't know how that happened, but now I have to go into Superman mode and go crazy. That's a Daybreak cooldown right there. Helps us recover a little bit. Okay. I'm dying from like my own Light of the Martyr buff, so I might not run that again. I just bubble here, and then I could keep everybody alive. I don't know who was doing these long range like bombing runs on us, but it was pretty nasty. There we go. We're back into Avenging Crusader. We do Crusader Strike, Shield of the Righteous, Crusader Strike, Judgment, Shield of the Righteous, and then we've got, that's about all the cooldown we had there. There's a little mini cooldown, but it gets us up, right? 440,000 healing per second. Like it just, every time you press Crusader Strike, it's just like boom, boom, boom. Like people just, they just get topped. It feels really good. Here's Sir Braunpyke. I don't think we knew this was a mini boss because he started crushing us. Yeah, look at, I'm just, he does this like burn over time. This is where Tears Deliverance would be very good, okay? He does a damage over time thing, just keeps coming over and over and over again. It never stops. I have to like focus up here really hard and try to recover. I got Daybreak back. It saves me right here. Look at that, I'm about to die. I hit Daybreak right here. There we go. Daybreak, boom, boom, boom. This is what I mean about a cooldown that feels good. Boom, boom, boom. We're struggling still, but we're getting people up. It's okay. We got Veneration healing now. Boom. Look at that Veneration healing from my Hammer of Wrath. Huge healing there, right? So then I'm back. I got an Avenging Crusader window. So this is how you kind of recover from these really nasty situations that you might run into. Okay. Had I known that was going to be a mini boss, I would have been more prepared. Anyway, we clear the rest of this trash, and then we get to the boss, and we pull the boss, and lo and behold, every other mob that was in here pulls onto the boss, and it ends up being a complete and utter disaster. It's a disaster. So we all die, yada yada. We understand what we did wrong. The tank didn't quite understand what we did wrong because he was running off to the boss again, and I was like, dude, come back, dude, come on, and he just didn't get it. So then he pulls this trash, and he's like, okay, this must be the trash you're talking about. Okay, cool. We kill this trash, and then guess what? He runs off into Narnia again. I was like, dude, get back here. We have to clear all the trash. What is wrong with you? Anyway, so we clear it all, and we go back to the boss fight. This boss fight is kind of a phase 1, phase 2. So you start down here. This is Prioress Murrpray. I don't know how to say Murrpray. Phase 1 happens down here. Phase 2 happens up above. She does, the main ability here is this holy flame that chases somebody. Or no, purifying light. Nope, not yet. There's an ability that chases somebody. It's on me. Purifying light. So it's going to chase me. So you want to go get into a corner somewhere and not try to drag this right over top of the boss so that you, you know, hurt the tank. You don't want to do that. Don't do what Zuko did. Then she goes up to the top. she starts channeling this thing with a shield. So I think if you had like shield breaking abilities like a warriors have, I think that would be really useful here. You need to kick Embrace the Light as soon as she's done channeling, okay? Very much like the first boss in Ruby Life Pools, okay? And then all her mobs start coming up, and then she's gonna do that thing that chases you again. Purifying Light, here it comes. I didn't know it was on me, but guess what? It's on me again, and I just dragged it. I didn't even know where I was going. I just dragged it over top of everybody like an idiot. Look at this. La la la, what's the healer doing? He just dragged this right over all my buddies. I was trying to heal, okay? I didn't know what I was doing. And that's the boss fight. I think it's going to be a really cool boss fight. I think all the boss fights in here are going to be really good, actually. I love this dungeon. I think Priory is really cool. That's what Holy Paladin is kind of feeling like right now in a heroic dungeon, which again is kind of like a mythic 0, right? Remember that? And I'm just telling you right now that like it feels really good as Herald of the Sun. Again, all the healing over time from Eternal Flame and from Sunseer. You get some extra hots from there. You get extra hots from Lingering Radiance when you put a Dawn Light on somebody, which is itself a healing over time. You have Dawn Light heal over times. They're going to put Eternal Flames, which is a heal over time. Then you have Sunseer, which is a heal over time. You could take Tears Deliverance and do a full heal over time build if you really wanted to. Or you could run kind of a more melee focused build like I was trying with Avenging Crusader and just give it a shot and see how this kind of works. In my mind, this to me feels as good as the it's as good of a cooldown as it's always meant to be. It's finally in a place, in my opinion, where it feels good. And I really love running this. And I feel like if you have this plus Daybreak plus maybe Tears Deliverance, you would have a solid build, right? Run this if you want to. I didn't even get to run Reclamation. That was a bit of a mistake. Run this if you want to, or run it like this, whatever you want to do. And then I think you have a really solid foundation for Holy Paladin feeling good. These 3 cooldowns to me made this build feel incredibly strong, incredibly fun to play. And I have high hopes for Holy Paladin as long as they kind of keep things the way they are right now. Like, I really hope they don't screw around with this too much. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Would love to hear from all of you. I'm going to do some more heroic dungeons on a bunch of different classes. So stay tuned for that. We're going to see what the numbers are kind of looking like. Okay. Thank you for watching. Love y'all. I will see you in the next one.